Welcome to Bourbon Master. I'm your host, Chris Wilkie, and this post or this video is going to be a little bit strange. I'm going to talk to you about beer. I'm going to actually take probably 5 to 10 minutes, and if you have the time, I highly recommend watching this. But I'm going to tell you what my path of tasting 100 different beers has taught me about bourbon. It's an interesting story. So for anybody who doesn't know, the Herat in Muncie, also kind of a hidden gem for bourbon, FYI, they do a club that is 100 beers in a year. Back in the day, it used to be 100 beers within 6 months. I guess I'm part of that generation that gets a little bit of extra things to it. But so I actually started this club back in June of this last year. I think it was June 23rd. And what you basically have to do is drink through their draft list and bottle list and try 100 unique different variations of beer. And you can't replicate any of them. You can try one on draft, one in the bottle. That'll be allowed. Try non-alcoholics. You can try the root beer they have there. You can try any of the beers on draft. But you have to try 100 different beers. So when I started this, it wasn't something I was like super into doing. I kind of thought, okay, sounds cool. I know some, like my old pastor did this. This is great. As I did it, I kind of became attached to the idea. It wasn't so much that I was wanting to get the little plaque at the end. I could care less. I wanted to try all these beers. And I think it really hit me. So when you look at a card, they give you a little index card. And what they do is they just have you get a beer, you track it on the next index card, you move along to the next beer. First 20 beers were the easiest 20 to grab. I grabbed all the ones I wanted to drink. I went down my Marzens, because by the time I started drinking heavy in that, was Oktoberfesty time period. I went into those German-style lagers. I kind of hit my comfort zone in a lot of IPAs. And what I found immediately is you will have 20 different bourbons or beers or whatever it is that are your comfort zone drinks. And about 10 of those are going to be the ones that you're going to consume on a regular basis. And about 5 of those you're willing to go to a bar and order regardless of what else is on the menu. I think this holds true for bourbon as well. As I go to a bar, I'm always going to look at my key bourbons. And I'm going to start picking out ones I know I like that haven't led me astray. And I may want to try this really cool bourbon over here, but it may be the oddball of the bunch. If I'm feeling like I need some comfort, I'm going to go to my list of 5. I noticed this when I was out tonight. I was out at St. Elmo's 1933 Grill, got a chance to try anything they wanted. My go-to is Knob Creek. I love Knob Creek single barrels. My other one is Old Hamer single barrels and Hugh Hamer. In this area, those are probably 2 of my favorite. When I look at what I drank tonight, I was in that ballpark. I picked my favorites. I tried a Knob Creek #1 from there. I got to try the little flight they had for Devour. And then I tried a Hugh Hamer pick at Joe's Grill. When you find your comfort zone, you like it. And it's hard because those first 20 beers are the easiest beers of the bunch. And then at beer 20, when I hit the end of the comfort zone, I hit the end of what I was interested in. I had to push myself to try something new, which is really fascinating because how do you determine what's new? Do you pick a style? Do you pick a brand? Do you pick a line? Maybe do you get suggestions? Literally, I started just going down the list. I started at the top and I started drinking down the freaking list because I didn't know how to pick. And what I ended up doing as we went through number 20 through 40 is I tried beers that were the staple beers back in craft beer lore heaven or days. Your Sierra Nevadas, your Left Hand, your, Sam Adams. We had a few other different lines there, and they were beers of Three Floyds around this area that I hadn't had forever. They were standard staples of the craft beer community. If you ask someone, what's your beer that got you into craft beer? It was this. I drank those. And it was interesting because they were still freaking good beers. And I think that's where people get confused at, or one big lesson I got taught. The stuff that you grew up enjoying that led you into the space you're in was never bad, or you wouldn't have joined the space in the first place. I remember drinking Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I can remember it clear as day. Arrogant Bastard from Stone. I can remember that one clear as day. Two great beers. And I haven't had those in years. I had moved on. I had left those children there, and I wasn't coming back for them because I'd become a more advanced drinker. Actually, the stuff you enjoy now could be just as good as that stuff then. And actually, those solids, there's a reason they were a solid one in the first place. So I think lesson 1 or 2 here. Number 1, you have a comfort zone. Number 2, once you hit that comfort zone, don't forget about the ones that led you to the comfort zone. So in bourbon world, this is my Maker's Mark. This is my Buffalo Trace. This is my Woodford. These are the ones you can get in any bar under the sun, and they're not going to disappoint. You know exactly what you're going to get. And it's not going to be outstanding because it's not new and exciting, but it's going to be solid, and that's why they've been around for a while. So that was 20 through 40. So we get to 40 through 60 here. And this is where I had to start going, okay, what the heck am I going to do now? I have exhausted my list of the ones I know I wanted to try or the ones I enjoy. I've gone to my old staples. What's next? It was the specials. I think as a bourbon drinker, you'll find that inherently most people are cheap. So as you get through that 40 to 60 range, I started getting the specials. Tuesdays were $4 pints. Wednesdays were $3 seasonals. I'd go and I'd start drinking those beers then. And if I could get a $10 beer, I was going to get it for $4. I was very happy with that. So my middle list between 40 and 60 were a lot of beers that were ones that were high-end specialties but on sale. Or ones that I may have never drank, but they were a good price. I think there's something to be said here. If you can get a good deal on a good pour, get it. If you can get a good deal on a pour that you may not be sure that you still enjoy, still go try it. You never know what you get if you enjoy that to that point. And I enjoyed some beers in that area that was like, holy crap, I really, really like this beer. And I didn't even think I'd ever try it. It would never have been on my list. So we get to beers 60 through 80. This is where it got really fascinating for me. This is where I kind of pushed myself to try beers that were the staples in the lines of beers they were, or the style of beers. So for instance, I'm not a Belgian guy. I tried all of the great Belgian beers that made Belgian beers great. I was trying your Dupont de Saison. I was trying your Golden Drac, your Chimay. I was trying your Delirium, your all of those beers that are the staples in that brand's history. And I think there's a cool key thing there. And I was walking around Total Wine today. I never ended up buying anything, but I think it'd be a cool experiment to start drinking all the old stuff. The stuff that your grandparents or your parents used to drink. There's a reason these companies were around before they ever started doing the single barrels or the odds and ends, the secondary aging. This makes me think back to the old Forester series that I've done a video on, or I'm going to do a video on. I can't really remember if I have or not. But it gives me perspective. Did I enjoy all of these beers? No. But do I have a new appreciation for certain brands or certain lines or certain beers in general? Oh, heck yes. I can tell you right now, I go drink a Chimay beer with the best of them. If you offered me a Dupont de Saison, I would do it. Taxman is not my favorite in Indianapolis, but they make a dang good Belgian beer. I tried North Coast, Brother Theolonis. Theolonis, not sure exactly how you say that. Great, I tried some barley wines. Things that I wouldn't have normally tried, but I wanted to understand the style of beers. The last ones. So we're going to go kind of 2 here. So 80 through 99. These were the celebrations. These are the ones I looked at of saying, you know what? I've always wanted to have this beer. Or this was one of my favorites. If there was a Cope Loac in a Nico cake sitting there that took an hour to pour, I'd get that today. Old Rasputin was my 100th beer. Why? Because it has a story to it. It's a beer that has a story and a memory connected. And as you go through beers 80 through 100 and even that 100th beer, or 99, the 100th beer, I try to put a story to all of those. And I think that's where it kind of comes full circle, because I look at this and I think a lot of my enjoyment in the craft beer and liquor area and bourbon is about the stories. If I'd be doing this, I would have definitely tried a Booker's, like Kentucky Tea. I've done blog posts. I have an attachment to that. Also, Jefferson's Ocean would have been one that was a killer cool thing that I got to try. You look at the different ones I've had tastings, and they have the story that's attached to it. There's the Three Brothers or Whiskey Thief that I've been able to go down. I know OCD, number 5 in Glens Creek. I've had stories of drinking E.H. Taylor with my father-in-law who had his shirt off in the middle of Buffalo Trace parking lot while we were drinking E.H. Taylor out of a cup. We kind of got told that wasn't allowed there and had to go put that stuff back on the bus. But there's certain bourbons that I have a story on. That E.H. Taylor bottle, there's a guy that I remember sitting there in the back of a car while I was driving, and he was in my front seat. 2 guys in the back of the car were calling people going, "Hey, where you at?" And they would say, "Sorry, I think you got disconnected." That guy passed away. I know that I enjoyed some great drinks with him, and it really made a connection and a story in my head. So those last ones taught me that there's more to just trying beer. There's making memories within that community. And I think the same holds true in bourbon. So I hope this was an interesting look into how 100 beers taught me to appreciate bourbon just a little more. I think there's your go-tos. There's your standards that got you to where you're going to go to. I think there's I need to try this because I haven't had this in forever. Some unique and interesting bits in there. I think there's understanding the styles. And I think there's some celebrations and getting great stories out of life and enjoying it with people. So I hope this is a good rundown. Cheers. I hope you've enjoyed this. And I will talk to you all later. Ron, if you're out there, cheers. I'm always going to do it partially so you guys are aware. I got told I needed an outro. Needed something that was going to kind of finish up the video. So Ron was the one who suggested it. I know Ron watches these. We actually just went on a bar call and he was giving me crap because I haven't done a few videos. So cheers, Ron. Have a great evening, and I'll see you all later.